Listen closely. The path you walk today may not be the one meant for who you are becoming. Comfort feels safe, but in Shaolin teaching, safety can be a hidden trap. The familiar, the routines you repeat without thought, the identity you defend so fiercely, these are not freedom. They are walls, and if you never question them, you will never leave the cage you built around yourself. The old self clings. It whispers, stay as you are. Do not risk, yet this whisper is the very reason many never taste transformation. A Shaolin master knows to grow, one must destroy, not with rage, but with clarity, not with violence, but with release. The destruction is not of your body, nor of your spirit. It is of illusions, attachments, and masks. In this video, I will guide you through the first step of mastery, loosening the anchors that keep you bound. You will learn how silence can reveal your truth more clearly than noise, how fear becomes a teacher instead of a prison, and why the old you must dissolve for the real self to stand unshaken. I will share teachings rooted in centuries of Shaolin discipline, practices born not in comfort but in the fire of trial. Stay with me until the end. Each moment of this journey holds a key, a piece of wisdom to help you break free from the weight you no longer need to carry. To walk away midway is to leave the door unopened. Welcome, my friend, to Shaolin Soulfire. If these lessons speak to you, let your journey continue, subscribe, and walk with us deeper into the art of mastery. There is a moment in life when the noise around you falls silent and suddenly you hear something far more unsettling, the sound of your own mind. Many people run from this moment. They reach for distractions, for company, for anything that can cover the rawness of being alone. But solitude in the Shaolin way is not emptiness. It is a mirror. When you sit in silence, the patterns you usually hide from yourself rise to the surface. The restlessness in your chest, the old memories that tighten your jaw, the endless repetition of thoughts you believed were gone. Alone, you cannot pretend. You see yourself without masks, without excuses. This is why solitude feels heavy. It reveals truth. Shaolin monks often stepped away from the world, not to escape, but to observe. In the mountains, in the stillness of temples, they faced the chatter of their own minds until it softened. They discovered that solitude was not loneliness, but clarity. In silence, you notice what clings to you unnecessarily. You notice which fears repeat, which desires control you, which doubts steal your strength. This is why being alone is not weakness. It is courage. To walk into silence is to face the most difficult opponent, the self. No enemy outside can defeat you as thoroughly as the lies you tell yourself, and no companion can give you the strength that arises when you meet those lies with awareness. So when the world grows quiet, do not rush to fill the space. Stay, listen. Let solitude teach you. It will show you the cracks in your old self, and through those cracks, the new one begins to appear. There is a voice that rises when you pause. It does not whisper wisdom, it whispers doubt. It tells you that you are not ready, that you lack the strength, that your steps will not carry you far. This voice is old. It was planted by years of repetition, by wounds you did not choose, by the opinions of others that settled into your mind. Over time it became so familiar, you began to call it your own. But Shaolin discipline teaches something different. You are not the voice, you are the one who hears it. When you sit in mindfulness, you notice how it arrives, uninvited, and how it speaks in tones that tighten your chest or weigh heavy on your shoulders. The practice is not to fight it. Fighting only gives it power. The practice is to look at it as it is an echo of the old self, a shadow that cannot exist without light. Ancient masters understood this as training the inner battlefield. Every warrior faces an enemy outside, but the true victory is over the illusions within. The voice of not enough is an illusion. When you see it clearly, without judgment, it loses its hold. It passes like a cloud across the sky, leaving the space beneath it unchanged. Inner mastery begins here, in discipline of awareness. The mind will bring doubt again and again, but each time you meet it with calm observation, its grip weakens. Over time, the silence between those voices grows longer, and in that silence, you begin to hear something truer. A strength that was always present, waiting for you to notice. The voice fades. What remains is clarity. What remains is you. The way of Shaolin is not to escape movement, but to find stillness inside it. Picture water rushing over rocks. It moves with speed, yet it never loses its essence. It does not resist the shape of the land, but flows with it, adjusting, steady in its own nature. This is the calm within motion. In training, monks did not sit still all day. Their discipline was forged through movement, strikes, stances, forms, repeated until body and mind became one. But within that rhythm, they cultivated silence. Each strike was not chaos. It was breath, focus, presence. The lesson was clear. Life will not slow down for you, so you must learn to carry stillness wherever you go. In daily life, this practice means giving full attention to whatever is before you. When walking, be only with the step. When working, let the mind rest in the task instead of racing ahead. Even in conversation, listen without preparing your next reply. These small acts anchor you in the present. The world may pull you in many directions, but your awareness becomes the unmoving center. This is not a skill gained overnight. It is a discipline. The old self wants distraction, wants noise, wants constant movement without awareness. The new self builds stability by choosing attention. Each moment you return to calm within motion, you train your mind as monks train their bodies, patiently, steadily, without haste. Over time, this quiet strength becomes your foundation. You no longer lose yourself when life accelerates. Instead, you remain grounded, like water that flows but never breaks. In this way, stillness and action are no longer opposites. They are one path, guiding you as you rebuild who you truly are. The path of mastery is often mistaken for something dramatic, a sudden transformation, a bold decision that changes everything at once. But Shaolin wisdom reminds us that true change is quieter. It begins with one breath, one vow, one small act carried out with full awareness. That is the seed. When monks trained, they did not leap into great feats on the first day. They began with stillness, with holding a simple stance until the body trembled. Day after day, the same practice. What seemed small was in truth the foundation. The body learned discipline. The mind learned patience. Over time, those small steps became unshakable strength. In your own life, the principle is the same. One daily moment of presence can shift the course of your mind. Sit for a breath before you speak. Pause before you reach for distraction. Make a simple vow each morning. Today, I will meet myself honestly. These small vows are like threads weaving a stronger fabric each day. The old self often looks for shortcuts, for sudden victories. But the new self understands that power grows slowly, like a wall built brick by brick. Each brick may feel insignificant, but together they create a structure that endures storms. Your moments of awareness, your simple choices repeated daily, are those bricks. This is discipline not as punishment, but as devotion. To honor one breath is to honor life itself. To keep one vow is to prove that you can be trusted by your own spirit, and with each step, your resolve deepens. The grand gestures may impress for a moment, but it is the quiet, steady practice that rebuilds you from within. Fear often appears as a pause, the hesitation before you act, the tightening of the chest that keeps you from stepping forward. It convinces you to wait, to avoid, to remain as you are. This hesitation belongs to the old self, the part of you that clings to safety even when safety means stagnation. In the Shaolin tradition, students were not shielded from fear. They were guided into controlled challenges designed to reveal it. Long hours in punishing stances, walks across narrow beams, tests of endurance that seemed impossible. These trials were not about strength alone. They were about facing the voice that said, "I cannot," under the eye of their masters. Students learned to meet that fear without running. The lesson is timeless. To master yourself, you must first meet your fear honestly. Do not disguise it or push it away. Name it. Speak to yourself clearly. This is what I am afraid of. When fear is named, it loses some of its shadow. When you step toward it calmly, without anger or panic, it begins to soften. Fear does not vanish in one moment. It transforms through discipline. Each time you face it, you teach your mind a new truth, that you are larger than the hesitation that grips you. With patience, the fear that once froze you becomes a signal pointing toward the very place where growth is waiting. This is inner mastery, not the absence of fear, but the ability to walk forward while it stands beside you. The old self trembles and retreats. The new self breathes, steps, and discovers freedom on the other side of what once seemed impossible. The old self is built on mirrors, always looking outward, always searching for reflection in the eyes of others. Approval becomes its food, image its armor. Yet this way of living is fragile. When praise comes, it rises. When criticism strikes, it falls. A life built on recognition is a life chained to the moods of the world. Shaolin teaching points to a different foundation. The purpose of practice was never to impress, but to grow. Each form repeated in training was not performed for an audience, it was for the body, the breath, the spirit. The discipline was private, often unseen, yet it forged strength that no applause could give. In this lies the deeper truth. Real mastery is measured not by how others see you, but by how you meet yourself. Growth, compassion, and clarity are the roots. Growth, because every day brings another step beyond the old self. Compassion, because power without kindness becomes empty. Clarity, because without seeing truth, the path bends back into illusion. These are not qualities that shine only under a spotlight. They are quiet, steady fires that burn regardless of who is watching. As you rebuild, align yourself with this deeper purpose. Ask not, will this make me admired, but instead, will this make me true? Approval may come, or it may not, but your path will not waver if it is tied to something greater than recognition. This is the freedom Shaolin masters sought, not freedom from effort, but freedom from dependence on how the world reacts. When the new self rises on the foundation of growth, compassion, and clarity, it stands firm. No praise can inflate it, no rejection can diminish it. It simply continues, steady and alive. The breath is the one companion that never leaves you. It is constant, immediate, unfiltered, yet most of the time it passes unnoticed. In Shaolin practice, the breath was not treated as something ordinary, but as a gate to inner mastery. To sit with the rise and fall of your breath is to sit with life itself, moving in and out of you. In stillness, watch how it flows. Notice when it is smooth, when it is shallow, when it becomes heavy in the chest. Each change reflects the state of your mind. Anxiety shortens it. Anger makes it sharp. Peace allows it to settle deep and steady. Your breath is honest. It cannot pretend, it cannot disguise. It reveals exactly where you are. This is why ancient masters returned to the breath again and again, not to control it with force, but to listen. When you observe your breath with patience, you begin to notice the places where you are stuck. Perhaps your body is tense, holding on to fear. Perhaps your thoughts are racing, cutting your breath into fragments. By bringing awareness there, the grip loosens. Slowly, the rigidity melts. Over time, this practice builds discipline. The mind may wander, but the breath always calls you back to center. It is both anchor and teacher. Each inhale reminds you of receiving, each exhale reminds you of letting go. With every cycle, you practice balance without effort. The old self resists this simplicity, chasing after noise and distraction. The new self finds strength in returning to the most basic rhythm of life. Follow the breath, and it leads you inward to the place where stillness and clarity have been waiting all along. As the day closes, there is a moment when silence naturally arrives. In that silence, a single question can open a doorway. What did I resist today? The answer may not always be comfortable. Perhaps you avoided a task, avoided a feeling, avoided speaking a truth. Resistance leaves its trace. To notice it is not failure, it is awareness. Shaolin practice often ended with reflection. Monks kept simple journals, not filled with elaborate stories, but with brief notes, intentions set in the morning, moments of lapse, flashes of insight. These were not records for others to read. They were maps for the self, showing where the path was clear and where it twisted into avoidance. This quiet discipline trained honesty as much as strength. Reflection is not punishment. It is not about reliving mistakes or judging the self harshly. It is a compass. Each evening, by asking what you resisted, you uncover the places where fear or habit still hold you. And once revealed, they can be met differently tomorrow. The question is gentle but sharp. It points without condemnation. Through this daily rhythm, inner mastery deepens. You begin to see patterns, recurring doubts, repeated escapes, the same walls you build for yourself. And with each recognition, the wall weakens. What once felt like solid stone becomes a thin layer you can step through. The old self avoids this gaze, fearing what might be uncovered. The new self embraces it, knowing that truth, however small, is the key to growth. In the end, reflection is not about the past, it is about shaping the next step with clarity. Each night becomes a closing bow, each morning a chance to rise lighter, clearer, more awake. There is a difference between being alone and being lonely. Loneliness is emptiness, a hunger for something outside to fill the gap. But rebuilding alone is not emptiness, it is strength. It is the decision to step away from the noise long enough to hear your own voice clearly. In that space, progress becomes visible in ways the crowd can never show you. When the old self returns with its familiar habits, it often comes quietly. The urge to procrastinate, the quick reaction to anger, the pull toward comfort instead of growth. Alone, you notice these patterns as they arise. And when you meet them with new clarity, when you choose patience instead of reaction, honesty instead of avoidance, that is progress. It may look small on the surface, but within, something shifts. Shaolin training often celebrated the unseen victories. A student who held his stance longer than yesterday, a monk who kept his focus steady through the ringing of bells. These were moments no audience would cheer for, yet each was a turning point, a step toward mastery. The recognition did not need to be public. The strength was in knowing inwardly, I have moved forward. This same principle guides you. When you notice progress, acknowledge it. You do not need applause. A quiet nod to yourself is enough. That recognition feeds your discipline, giving you energy for the next step. Without it, the journey feels endless. With it, each day carries momentum. Rebuilding alone is not isolation. It is communion with your deeper self. It is choosing to walk with awareness even when no one sees. And in that silence, you find that you are not truly alone at all. You are accompanied by the strength you are creating, step by steady step. The journey of transformation is not loud. It does not announce itself with sudden victories. It unfolds in silence, in the way you breathe more calmly, in the way you notice old habits but choose differently, in the way you no longer run from yourself. This is the essence of Shaolin wisdom, to master life by mastering the self. Each day offers a chance to release one layer of the old and to step into the clarity of the new. Do not wait for a perfect moment. Begin with one breath, one vow, one act of presence. In time, these small choices weave a life of strength, balance, and peace. Carry this teaching with you into your daily rhythm. Let solitude be your teacher. Let discipline be your companion. Let compassion guide your steps. And in this quiet devotion, you will find the self you were meant to become. Thank you for walking this path with us. May your practice bring you peace and clarity. If these teachings speak to you, support our journey by liking this video and subscribing to our channel, Shaolin Soulfire. Together we continue the way of inner mastery.